Hey there, it's Jason from Simply Swider. After taking apart hundreds of washers over the years, I've gotten to know these machines inside and out. When your washer breaks down, it's usually just one part that's causing all the trouble. Problem is, most folks have no idea what's inside their machine or how it works. Today, I'm going to show you the key parts of your washing machine, what they do, where they're located, and how to spot when they're failing. This isn't complicated stuff, but knowing the basics can save you from calling in expensive help when something minor goes wrong. I'll break down everything from the water inlet valve to the door lock, the drain pump to the control board. These are the parts that fail most often based on the repairs I do every day. Our Simply Swider Facebook group members ask about these parts all the time, so I know exactly what confuses most people. The link to join us is in the description below if you want more help. Let's get started with the most important parts you need to know about. The inner tub is what holds your clothes during the wash. You can see it when you open your washer. It's that drum with all those small holes that let water drain out. Every washer has one, whether it's a top loader or front loader. This part does the heavy lifting, spinning your clothes during the spin cycle and moving them around during the wash. Depending on your model, it might have an agitator, that tall spindle in the middle, paddles along the sides, or a pulsator at the bottom. The most common problems I see with inner tubs are detergent buildup and mold. Just last Thursday, I was at a home where the lady complained about musty smelling clothes. I checked her tub and found a thick film of detergent residue coating the surface. The fix is pretty simple. Run an empty cycle with hot water and 2 cups of white vinegar. For regular maintenance, wipe it down once a month and leave the door open after washes to prevent mold. If your inner tub gets damaged or develops rust spots, that's when you might need to consider replacement parts or professional help. The outer drum is basically the water container in your washer. It sits around the inner drum that holds your clothes and keeps all that water contained during the wash cycle. You'll never actually see this part unless you've got the machine completely torn apart. This isn't something you can fix or maintain yourself. It's sealed up inside the machine for a reason, but you should know when it's causing problems. Watch out for water leaking from underneath your machine. That could be a cracked outer drum. If your washer makes a loud metal scraping sound during the spin cycle, pay attention. That's usually the bearings going bad between the inner and outer drums. I had a customer last month who ignored that scraping noise for weeks. By the time I got there, the bearings had completely failed and damaged the outer drum. What could have been a $150 bearing replacement turned into a $450 repair. The outer drum doesn't usually fail on its own. It's either bearing failure or something got caught between the drums. Either way, when you hear metal on metal, get it checked out fast. The control panel is where you and your washing machine communicate. You'll find it right up front on front loaders or on the top edge of top loaders. This is the brain of your washing machine. It houses all your cycle options, temperature settings, and spin speed controls. Modern machines have fancy LED displays and touch controls, while older models use simple knobs and dials. Some of the newest models even connect to your smartphone. When this part fails, your machine might power on but won't respond to any button presses, or it might show error codes constantly. I've replaced dozens of these panels over the years, and the most common cause is moisture damage. Quick tip from my repair experience: never touch these panels with wet hands. Water and electronics don't mix, and one splash can short out the entire panel. That's a $200 part you could have saved with dry hands. To keep it working properly, just wipe it down with a slightly damp cloth when needed. No harsh chemicals or soaking wet rags. They'll seep into the edges and damage the electronics inside. The control board is the brain of your washing machine. You'll find it inside the control panel at the top of your washer, or sometimes at the back, usually in a protective case to keep water away. This electronic component controls everything your washer does, from cycle timing to water temperature, spin speeds to drain cycles. It's sending electrical signals to every other part, telling them when to turn on and off. There's no maintenance you can do on a control board. When they fail, it's typically from one of two things: power surges or water damage. I was at a customer's house last week where a lightning strike fried the board completely. A simple $20 surge protector can save you from a $300 repair bill. I always tell my customers this is the cheapest insurance you can buy for your washing machine. If your washer suddenly stops responding to button presses or shows random error codes that don't match its behavior, the control board is usually the culprit. Our Simply Swider group members have saved thousands by troubleshooting this part correctly. The water inlet valve sits at the back of your washer where those water hoses connect. This little part has a big job. It controls when and how much hot and cold water enters your machine. When you select a wash cycle, electrical signals tell this valve exactly when to open and close. Most washers have a dual valve setup, one for hot water and another for cold. I see these valves fail in two main ways. First, they can get stuck closed, which means no water enters your machine at all. Or second, they can get stuck open, which causes water to keep flowing and potentially flood your laundry room. Just yesterday, I was at Mrs. Wilson's house where her hot cycles were running ice cold. Turned out the hot water inlet valve had failed completely. Took me 15 minutes to swap in a new one, and her machine was back to normal. Check your valve connections every few months for small leaks or mineral buildup. If you notice water pressure dropping or temperature problems, this valve is likely the culprit. Catching it early saves you from bigger headaches down the road. The door or lid might seem obvious, but it's actually a critical part that causes a ton of problems. Front loaders have that big round door on the front, while top loaders have the lid you lift up. This isn't just a cover, it works with safety systems to keep your washer from leaking or stopping mid-cycle. The door has sensors that tell the machine when it's properly closed. For front loaders, that rubber gasket around the door is a common failure point. I recommend wiping it down after each use to prevent black mold. Nothing worse than clean clothes that smell musty. If your washer won't start at all, check the door lock first. 9 times out of 10, when someone calls me saying, "My washer's completely dead," it's just the door sensor that's failed. The machine thinks the door is open even when it's shut tight. I fixed Mrs. Garcia's machine last month by just replacing the small door switch. $15 part instead of a $500 new washer she was about to buy. The lid switch or door lock is a critical safety feature on every modern washing machine. You'll find it right next to the door opening, usually hidden from view in the door frame. This small part has a big job. It prevents the machine from operating when the door is open and keeps the door locked during cycles when opening would be dangerous. The machine literally won't start spinning if this isn't working properly. When this part fails, your washer often won't start at all or might stop mid-cycle. Many newer models will flash an error code on the display when there's a problem with the door lock. Last month, I was at a customer's house where their washer wouldn't start. Turned out the door lock had broken. 10 minutes and one replacement part later, their machine was running perfectly. Fixed it right there on the spot and saved them from paying a full service call. If your washer suddenly stops working or won't start, this is one of the first parts I'd check. It's often an easy fix that doesn't require special tools or expertise. The water inlet and drain hoses are the simplest parts of your washer, but they cause some of the biggest headaches. Every washing machine has these. They're the lifelines bringing water in and taking dirty water out. Your inlet hoses connect to the water supply valves at the back of your machine. They're usually rubber with metal fittings on each end. The drain hose is typically a single, larger diameter hose that connects to your drain pump and runs to your home's drain pipe. I can't stress this enough. Check these hoses regularly. I got called to Mrs. Wilson's house last month because her laundry room flooded. The culprit? A tiny crack in her inlet hose that burst open when she wasn't home. $5 in parts would have prevented thousands in water damage. If your hoses are over 5 years old, replace them now. Don't wait. And while you're at it, make sure they're not kinked, twisted, or showing any signs of wear. For the drain hose, check for clogs or lint buildup, especially if your machine is draining slowly. This is the easiest maintenance you can do yourself, and it prevents some of the worst problems I see in homes. The timer is found in every washing machine, though what it looks like depends on your model. In older washers, it's that big dial you turn on the control panel. In newer machines, it's electronic and built into the control board. This part controls how long each cycle runs and in what order. It tells your washer when to fill with water, when to wash, when to rinse, and when to spin. Most modern machines have switched from mechanical timers to digital controls that do the same job. You don't need to maintain the timer, but if your cycles are running too long, too short, or skipping steps completely, the timer might be your problem. I replaced one last week in a whirlpool that kept skipping the rinse cycle. The clothes came out still soapy every time. When a timer fails, you'll notice your washer either getting stuck in one cycle or skipping cycles altogether. It's not the easiest part to replace yourself, especially in newer models where it's part of the main control board. The bearings are critical parts in every washing machine. They sit between the inner tub and outer drum, creating that smooth spinning motion during wash cycles. You can't service these yourself, they're buried deep inside the machine, but you'll definitely know when they're going bad. Listen for loud rumbling or grinding noises during the spin cycle. If your washer sounds like it's trying to take off, bearings are likely the culprit. I replaced bearings on 3 machines last week alone. It's not a simple fix. You'll need to disassemble most of the washer to get to them. But if your machine is only a few years old and otherwise working well, replacing bearings is much cheaper than buying a new washer. One thing I've noticed in my years of repairs, using too much detergent can cause bearings to fail early. The excess soap gets past the seals and damages the bearings over time. Stick to the recommended amount and you'll extend your machine's life. The Pulsator is what you'll find in most high-efficiency top-loading washers these days. It sits at the bottom of your wash drum and looks like a flat disc with fins or ridges. Unlike the old-school agitator that yanks clothes around, the Pulsator gently rotates to create currents in the water. When working properly, your Pulsator pushes water and detergent through your clothes without roughly twisting them. This means less wear and tear on your clothes. I had a customer, Mrs. Thompson, who switched from an agitator model to a Pulsator washer last year. She told me her favorite blouses are lasting twice as long now. If your Pulsator isn't working right, you'll notice poor cleaning performance or clothes that aren't moving much during the cycle. Sometimes they can crack or the fins can break off. Other times they just come loose from the drive shaft. To check yours, just lift the lid while the washer's paused. The Pulsator should be firmly attached and not wobbling around. If it's loose or damaged, it's usually a simple replacement job that takes about 30 minutes. The transmission is what you'll find in traditional top-loading machines with agitators. You won't see this in most modern front loaders or high-efficiency top loaders. It sits under the drum and connects directly to the drive motor. What it does is pretty straightforward. It takes the spinning motion from the motor and converts it into the back and forth movement for washing and the full spin for draining. Think of it like the gearbox in your car. When a transmission starts to fail, you'll hear grinding or squealing noises during the wash cycle. Sometimes the machine will agitate but not spin, or vice versa. Here's the hard truth from my repair experience. When the transmission goes bad, it's usually time to start shopping for a new washer. The part alone can run $150 to $300, and the labor to install it often pushes the total repair cost to more than half the price of a new machine. Last month, I diagnosed a bad transmission for Mrs. Wilson, and instead of charging her for an expensive repair, I helped her find a good deal on a new machine. Sometimes that's the better option for your wallet in the long run. Now let's talk about suspension springs. You'll find these mostly in top-loading machines. They attach from the top of the wash tub to the washer cabinet. These springs have one job: keeping your washer stable during the spin cycle. Without them working properly, your machine will shake, wobble, and might even walk across your laundry room floor. You can usually spot bad springs by excessive movement during the spin cycle. If your washer sounds like it's about to take off, check these first. I replaced the springs in my own washer last year when it started moving around. It's not the easiest repair, but if you're comfortable taking things apart, you can handle it. Just make sure to unplug the machine first and have someone help you hold the tub stable while you work. The trickiest part is getting the right tension on all springs equally. If one side is tighter than the other, you'll still have balance problems. When done right, your washer should stand still even during the fastest spin cycle. Next up, let's talk about the agitator or impeller. You'll only find these in top-loading washers. They're what actually moves your clothes around during the wash cycle. The agitator is that tall plastic spindle standing in the middle of your washer tub. It twists back and forth in a spiral motion to push water and detergent through your clothes. Some newer machines use an impeller instead. It's a lower, flatter disc at the bottom of the tub. If your clothes aren't getting clean or the machine makes grinding noises during the wash cycle, check these parts. The most common problem I see is worn-out agitator dogs. These are small plastic pieces inside the agitator that connect it to the drive shaft. They wear down over time and stop the agitator from turning properly. Just last month, I had 3 customers with this exact issue. Instead of calling me out for a service visit, I walked them through replacing these dogs themselves. It's about a $10 part and 15 minutes of work versus paying for a full service call. You just pop off the cap, remove the old dogs, slide in new ones, and you're back in business. The agitator dogs are small plastic pieces found inside the agitator of traditional top-loading washers. They're hidden away inside the central agitator column itself. These dogs have one job. They engage and disengage the agitator during different parts of the wash cycle. When working properly, they create that back and forth motion that moves your clothes around. You don't need to maintain these parts regularly, but they wear out faster than almost anything else in your washer. When they break, you'll notice your clothes just sitting there instead of being tossed around. The good news is they're cheap and simple to replace. I keep a box of these in my truck because I replace them at least twice a week on service calls. Most cost under $15 and take about 10 minutes to swap out once you get the agitator off. If your washer isn't cleaning well anymore but still fills and drains normally, check these dogs first before spending money on bigger repairs. Next up is the water level pressure switch. You'll mostly find this in top-loading machines tucked away behind the control panel. This switch connects to a small air tube that runs all the way down to your wash tub. When water fills the tub, air gets pushed up this tube, creating pressure that triggers the switch to shut off the water at the right level. Last month, I was at the Johnson's house where their washer kept filling until it overflowed. Water was everywhere. Turned out the pressure switch had failed. A simple $20 part that took me 15 minutes to replace saved them from serious water damage. If your washer either fills too much or not enough, check this switch first. Also, make sure the air tube isn't kinked or clogged with detergent buildup. That's another common issue I see all the time. This small part plays a huge role in preventing floods, so it's worth knowing where it is and how it works. The motor coupler is a part you'll only find in top-loading washers. It sits between the motor and transmission, tucked underneath the machine where you can't see it. This small plastic and rubber part has one job: connecting your motor to the transmission. When it works, it transfers power so your machine can agitate and spin. But this coupler is designed to break under stress to protect more expensive parts like your motor. I replaced 3 of these last week alone. The telltale sign is when your washer makes a humming noise, but the drum doesn't move. Your machine is trying to run, but that broken coupler isn't transferring any power. Good news is, this is one of the cheaper fixes out there. Takes me about 30 minutes to replace one, and the part itself usually costs under $20. Much better than shelling out for a new washer. If your washer is older than 8 years and showing these symptoms, check the coupler first before assuming the worst. The clutch is a part You'll only find in older top-loading washers with agitators. You won't see this in your new front loaders or high-efficiency machines. It sits between the transmission and the wash tub, connected directly to the motor. Think of it like the clutch in a car. Its job is to switch your washer from the back and forth agitation to the fast spinning cycle. When working right, it lets your inner tub spin at different speeds during the wash. If your washer isn't spinning, or sounds like it's struggling to spin, the clutch is likely your problem. These wear out naturally over time, especially if you're washing heavy stuff like comforters or big blankets regularly. Last month, I replaced 3 clutches in older Whirlpool models. The homeowners all had the same complaint. The machine would agitate but wouldn't spin or would spin very slowly. A worn clutch was the culprit each time. The drive belt is a crucial part you'll find in traditional top-loading washers and some older front loaders. This rubber belt wraps around both the motor pulley and the drum pulley, transferring power from the motor to make your drum spin. When this belt wears out, your washer won't spin properly or might make a high-pitched squeal during operation. I check these immediately when customers call about spinning problems. Over time, these belts develop cracks, get stretched out, or lose their grip. It's normal wear and tear, especially after 5 to 7 years of regular use. I keep at least 3 different sizes of these belts in my truck at all times because they're such a common replacement. Last month alone, I replaced 7 of them in different machines. It's a 15-minute job that saves people from thinking they need a whole new washer. If your machine is making unusual noises during the spin cycle or not spinning at all, take a look at this belt before calling for service. You might just save yourself some money with a simple DIY fix. The drain pump is the workhorse that moves water out of your machine after each cycle. You'll find it at the bottom of your washer, and depending on your model, you'll access it through either the front or back panel. This pump has one job: push water from the drum through the drain hose and into your home's plumbing. When it fails, you'll end up with a machine full of water at the end of a cycle. Most drain pumps have a filter you can clean yourself. Look for a small access door at the front bottom of your washer. I recommend checking this filter every few months. The things I've pulled from these filters would surprise you: coins, keys, pet hair, small toys, and once even a full credit card that went through an entire wash cycle. One customer's pump was clogged by a sock that somehow made it past all the machine safeguards. Always empty your pockets before washing. A 10-second check can prevent pump damage that might cost you $100 or more to fix. Next up is the circulation pump. You'll find this part in most newer, high-efficiency washers. It's typically located at the bottom of the machine, usually right next to the drain pump. This pump has one job: to recirculate water through your clothes during the wash cycle instead of just letting them soak. When working properly, it sprays or showers the water back through your clothes, which gets them cleaner with less water. I replaced one last week in a Whirlpool Duet, and the customer immediately noticed her clothes were getting cleaner. If your washer isn't getting clothes as clean as it used to, this pump might be the culprit. Signs of failure include strange noises during the wash cycle or clothes that stay partially dry even during washing. Checking this pump takes some disassembly, so if you're not comfortable taking panels off, this might be one repair to leave to a pro. It's worth keeping this part working properly. It's what makes your modern washer use 70% less water than older models while still getting clothes just as clean. The door seal or gasket is that thick rubber ring around the door opening on front loading machines. This part creates a watertight seal when your door is closed, keeping water inside where it belongs. This is probably the #1 part I replace on front loaders. Why? Because people don't maintain them properly. Here's the cold hard truth: you must leave your washer door open after each use. When you close that door while the seal is still damp, you're creating the perfect environment for mold and mildew. I've seen some nasty situations in my repair calls. Last month, I opened a washer that had actual mushrooms growing on the seal. The homeowner couldn't figure out why her clothes smelled like a swamp, That seal was completely black with mold and had to be replaced. Check your seal regularly for cracks, tears, or discoloration. If you catch mold early, you can usually clean it with vinegar and water. But once it gets deep into the rubber, you're looking at a replacement job. Trust me on this one. Leaving that door open after washing will save you a $150 part and labor charge down the road. That covers all the main parts of your washing machine. Now you know what's really happening inside that big white box. Keep in mind that different brands put these parts in slightly different places. Your Whirlpool might have the pump in a different spot than a Samsung or LG. If you need to dig deeper, look up your washer's service manual online. Most manufacturers have them available for download, and they show exactly where everything is located in your specific model. Got questions about your washer? Drop them in the comments below. Better yet, join our Simply Swider Facebook group where I do live troubleshooting sessions every Thursday evening. I answer questions in real time and walk people through common fixes. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video where we'll tackle dryer problems.